Hey kids, it is Hex-Ray Vision, aka Pulse Ray Vision, coming to you live from Quattro Cinco Studios with another stream and an AMA about the Forge and the Launchpad that they're putting together there for tokens. I've got Mark from the Forge and, of course, Proof of No Work Dev hanging out. Go ahead and say hi to people and tell them what you're about.
Hi everyone. Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on again. Yeah, Proof of No Work. You want to say hi?
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, great to be on. Yeah, so today we'd love to talk a little bit, since we discussed so much already about the Forge, about the specifics of the NFTs and the tokens and their utility. But first, kind of want to say that we moved away from the idea of holding a sacrifice, since we we developed the NFTs already. We figured that we can actually do a token sale instead. So it's a pretty big change. And maybe I can show you guys the website, the new website that we have up, and then kind of explain what people get, what they can do, and what the utility is of everything. Is that cool?
Sounds good to me.
I think you're muted.
We've got Enoch in the chat. You're right. I was just trying to keep all this feedback from coming in, but we've got Enoch in the chat. So yeah, go ahead and take it away. Show us the new website, and we'll go from there.
Let's share screen here. So give me a minute. All right. All right. So if people go to Curator, they now see the countdown down here. It's almost exactly 3 days. Can click here and voila, this is our new website. So it's very, so we have a new logo actually as well, which I really like. If people want to get in-depth information of how everything works, they can check out the white paper. I'm pretty sure we'll also put the light paper here tomorrow, which is easier to digest. But yeah, so we're next generation Launchpad and incubator, and I think we're really next generation because there is no other Launchpad that I know of that has this kind of level of decentralized controls to prevent, scams and rug pulls, and also to highlight the best kind of opportunities in the market.
And let's not forget bribes. We're trying to get the bribes out of crypto.
We're trying to get the bribes out of crypto. Yeah, and I think, I don't want to be politically incorrect, but a lot of Launchpads, when they're centralized, they have this issue that the owners of the Launchpad can be bribed, right? And their incentive is to get a share of the projects that come on the platform, right? They basically get paid. So they often don't have the right incentive to bring good projects to their users. So I think we are solving both of these at the same time.
And there's other Launchpads too that claim to be decentralized and that have, say, instead of like a group of founders that have the control over it, they have like a group of users similar style to us, but there's not these multiple level of tranches of different responsibilities and power and stuff. So it's usually still centralized. Even if they attempt to say that it's a decentralized ecosystem, it's still really highly centralized. So you could still bribe whoever it was at the top of their chain very easily.
Yeah, and a lot of these are more like investment DAOs, where there's a pool of money that the kind of decentralized DAO, they vote on what to invest in, but you as an individual don't really have the choice what you want to invest in. And that's different here. We have a decentralized network of people that will analyze and review projects for you, but you get to make your own decision which projects you want to get involved with. So I think that's also quite unique.
And that's one of the major centralization points of a DAO that's hidden, is that, you'll have, in theory, the group of people that can vote towards a proposal, but typically the proposal is centralized. So the person's proposing the votes or the things that you make a decision on are typically a small group that's centralized. So that's kind of how they hide the centralization in the DAO typical model.
Yeah. So that's obviously completely different here. There's no control over that at all. So so this is a little cool introduction video here. I'm very proud of the artist who we've worked with here. I've known him for a long time, and he's very, very popular. So let's get to the actual NFTs. So yeah, they're all produced. They're 5,555 unique NFTs with lots of different, actually with all the different traits that we had, we could have produced 45 million unique NFTs. So there's really a lot of combination. It was a lot of work to get them down to a smaller amount that have all the best traits in there. So they look really cool.
There should be some high rarities there for some of the traits then.
Yes, actually, this mask here is pretty rare because it doesn't actually go very well with lots of the other traits. It covers up a lot of the other stuff. So the utility and what are the NFTs? So first of all, they're utility NFTs. So they don't just look cool, they got a lot of utility and allow the community to govern the Launchpad. As we said before, we will have analysts that review projects, and we have investors and stakers that lock tokens to get allocations, and they will also verify the reviews. And there's an intricate interplay there that I can explain more later. But the governance NFTs can come in, and when they see that analysts may have been bribed or investors may have been bribed, they can vote to expel these guys. Right. So that's a very powerful thing. They can also vote. We have this smart contract where projects can raise funds. So instead of doing a sacrifice and getting funds into their wallet, the funds will go to a smart contract that releases it over time based on achieving milestones. And these NFTs can vote to block these funds if the projects don't achieve their milestones. So they're very important in terms of governance. But they, of course, also get rewards. So every NFT holder may get a share of all the tokens that come through the forge. So projects will apply, and then they will get reviewed and incubated. And when they start, they can offer a percentage of their token. That can be 1% or 5% or 10%, whatever they want to do. And a percentage of these tokens, they get given to the NFT holders. So this potentially will be thousands of projects that as an NFT holder, you just will get tokens from. So that's very, very interesting. And then it's just the more NFTs you hold, the more tokens you get, because these tokens will go proportionally over all the NFTs.
And we've got a question here. Mike Roth says, what is the utility of the NFTs?
So the first utility is governance. So the NFT holders, they get to expel analysts that they believe are harmful for the system. So maybe if they have been bribed, or maybe they write really low quality reviews or something like that. So that's the first important utility. The other important utility is that they can freeze funds and return funds from projects that are failing, that are not delivering on their milestones and stuff like that. So it's mostly governance utility. And then the rewards for it is getting a percentage of all the tokens that come through the platform. I like to compare it to like a Supreme Court kind of. So the NFT holders are there. They don't need to interact on a daily basis. But if there's a big problem in the platform, then they can jump in and basically veto certain stuff. They can also ban a project that is really harmful or something like that. So they really have a kind of a governing function. And it's important here, the incentives play an important role, because the NFT holders get a share of all the tokens that come through the platform. Their incentive is just that all these tokens do really well. So they have an incentive to vote out any analysts or any stakers who validate the reviews, who basically vote for stuff and upvote stuff that is not good projects, right? That would really harm the NFT holders.
And just like with any platform or project or anything, if you're a place that's a hub for scams or people losing money or getting ripped off, they're not going to be popular, and people aren't going to want to come to you. So these people have incentive just beyond that money aspect and stuff too, to have reputational aspect around the things that they endorse or that we put through platform to not let garbage come through here, because that could ruin the reputation of everything and then devalue that there. So there's incentive in that way too.
Yeah, so that's why we're actually giving out quite a few of these NFTs to just for free to the most dedicated Pulse Chain community members, and influencers and people who really work to build a strong ecosystem. Because if we would just sell them, then obviously someone could come in and just buy up all of them and more or less control the ecosystem. So that's why a large chunk of them will hand out to people who we think really have the benefit of the ecosystem at heart.
Now, if someone has an NFT, excuse me, and they sell it on the open market to another person, if they sell the NFT, does the new person have the rights and the utility of that NFT, and then are they eligible for the token distribution or any airdrops?
Yes, so all the rights are embedded in the NFT. So if you sell the NFT that transitions over, there are some things that will happen. So some security mechanisms that we put in there. So the vote in the beginning, it's 1 vote per NFT. But the longer you hold your NFT, the stronger your vote gets. And that is to kind of really keep the decentralization, because let's say in the future someone takes a huge sum of money, buys up all the NFTs, they could technically start overpowering the system, right? And that's why we say, okay, those people, even if they had just a few NFTs in the beginning, the longer they hold them, the stronger that voting power goes up.
It's got anti-cheat mechanisms in.
Exactly. And if they sell their NFT, then that voting power will be reset. So yeah, it's an anti-whale kind of mechanism.
All right, and I'd like to welcome Agent J to the chat. Is that right? Or to the stream?
Agent J is from Decent Roundtable, right?
What up?
Now there we go, DRT. I think you're muted, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they know they're muted or if they're just waiting to talk.
Or could have accidentally joined the StreamYard thinking that it was the YouTube link.
That it was the YouTube link. It might be. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Happened last time. Maybe we just continue talking until he comes
Yeah, it's
in.
all good, man. Just let him butt in when he's ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
jump in when he's ready. So go ahead.
So all the NFT holders will get a share of the tokens, and the more NFTs you hold, obviously proportionally the more tokens you will get. NFT holders may vote to govern Forge ecosystem, including freezing funds for failing projects and expelling corrupt participants. So that's what I already explained. Now, on top of that, for the first year, we will actually airdrop Cure tokens, which are needed on the platform to write reviews and to verify reviews. Yeah, that's not part of the NFTs utility. You're just going to get some additional tokens from the platform, which will allow you to engage with the platform.
And what about the super upvotes that you have there? Is that an NFT that gives you the super upvote, or is that something else?
That's the token. So you're going to hold the NFT, and then you're going to get the tokens every month. You'll get some tokens for a year. And if you lock them up, you need to lock up a small amount in order to become an analyst. But the more you lock up, for every portion, you will get 1 super upvote per week. And that allows you to go in. I'm just going to quickly here jump to Curator. Let me go here to go to this example project. So here you see, this is how the projects get reviewed. You see the review is here, and then you see down here these super upvotes. And you can see as the week just started, I usually have 7 per week, and now I have 6 super upvotes left. So if you get your tokens and you lock them, first of all, that will give you allocations in the projects that come through. So the more tokens you lock up, the more allocation you have. That's pretty standard Launchpad mechanics. But what's not standard is that you also get these super upvotes, and that allows you to go and verify the reviews you like the most. So if you see this project here, right, this belief, for example, if that comes into the Forge and gets reviewed, then this project down here that might only have one super upvote, it doesn't matter so much for the overall rating. And sorry, there's more. So these reviews have no super upvotes, no upvotes at all. So basically people don't even see these reviews anymore, right? It's really all these top reviews up here that get the most attention, get the most weight. And it's the investors who lock up tokens in order to get good allocations who are the ones who hand out these super upvotes, because their incentive is to get good reviews. So that's how this incentive kind of interplays. Does that make sense?
Yes. Will people be connecting their wallet to the curator website to read these NFTs and points?
That's a good question. So currently, that's not the case yet. They can connect their wallets right now, but that's more of a payout function. Obviously, they will have to, once we launch the Forge, they will have to connect their wallet so we can verify their NFT and their tokens that they have locked up. So currently, because we've been running this for over a year now and we've been testing a lot of stuff, we've been building all of this off-chain, right? So all the tokens, all the staking and all of that stuff is off-chain, but that will be moved on-chain within the next couple of months when we're launching the system in full live mode.
Yeah, so basically the website's Web 2 right now for the most part. There is a small section where you can wallet connect, but it will eventually be Web 3 once everything is ready.
Exactly, yes. And I mean, some of the parts will still remain Web 2 for a little while as we're slowly migrating everything on chain. It's just some of these things are quite complex to develop. Just how people get rewarded for writing reviews, we had to change so many times, and it's really hard to build that everything immediately on chain. So we're doing a lot of the R&D off chain, and once the protocol is kind of properly working, then we move that on chain.
Best practices, man.
I want to welcome Zero Negative to chat. He says, "Sup, people," and I'd like to welcome Apex Hex to our to the stream as well. But you want to introduce yourself, Apex, or are you just chilling out like Agent J?
What's up? I'm just hanging out listening. I actually spoke with Mark for about 30 minutes to an hour earlier this morning. So I'm just hopping in. I'm actually doing some work from my computer. So I was kind of just listening in. Mark answered all my questions earlier.
Awesome. Great to talk to you again here.
You too, buddy.
Okay, cool. So people can buy the NFTs that will give them control or part of the control over the network. So it is decentralized. We have various kind of tools in there to make it more decentralized and not so easy for whales to control it. And these NFTs will also over time give you more and more of the tokens that you need to also participate as analysts and as investors who stake the tokens to verify reviews and to get bigger allocations in projects that come through. But ultimately, it's always the person's own decision if they want to invest in a project. It's not a DAO that makes a collective decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're not obligated, but you have the options.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, how to buy? We're actually gonna we're going to reveal the wallet address as soon as we start the campaign in 3 days, and then people can just send stable coins on various networks. So they can just send it to us, and then we will airdrop the NFTs later. And once they get the NFT, then slowly they will also get the tokens airdrop to them.
So a lot of people that usually mint NFTs are used to going to a website, connecting the wallet, interacting with the smart contract directly, and then being instantly given their NFT in their wallet. In this case, what we're going to do instead here is have the wallet address open, set to a certain address, and it will be almost in the style of sacrifices where you give to that address, and then the NFTs will be airdropped to you when they're completed and the when the sale is over, or the NFT
When the sale is
minted
over.
out. Yeah, when the NFTs have minted out.
It's down here. So the NFTs will be airdropped a week after the campaign ends, or and the campaign will end when the NFTs are sold out, or when we launch the Forge, which should happen very, very soon, since, as I showed, the platform is basically ready. So this is how people can get NFTs. And then here we have the prices. So we have a kind of a slowly increasing price ladder, where the first 100 NFTs will be $100 each, and then it goes up by $10 per every few hundred NFTs, until the most expensive ones will be at $200 each. Any questions about any of this?
Yeah, if somebody puts in more than $200, do they get more than 900 NFTs, or is that the max?
So it's $200 per NFT, right? So if you come in and you're the first one and puts $100, you will get one NFT, right?
Like
so
the first 100 people pay $100, then the next 200 pay 110, then the next 300 pay 120, like that.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Maybe we need to change the copy here a little bit. So we've just updated all of this, so we definitely need some feedback and improve some parts of the website. But yeah, that's how it is. So the total NFTs for purchase are about 4,500, which is all of this together.
And then the other 1,000 or so are being given away to the community, correct?
Exactly, yes. For various, the most dedicated people, the most trustworthy people, the ones we believe that can really help us build a solid core. And then also the people who we do a lot of giveaways as well for people who just come in and are very active in sharing our information, asking questions and all that stuff.
And because of this, there's no longer going to be any sale of Cure token. No sacrifice or anything of Cure token. It's not going to be distributed in a separate manner, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So we're just doing straight up. These are you can buy the NFTs. That has all the different utilities. Through those, you can get some Cure tokens over time, which allow you to participate in the platform in these various ways that is necessary to operate the platform.
So the only way to get Cure tokens right now is either to be an analyst on Curator or to be an NFT holder.
Yes, exactly. Cool. So yeah. Thanks, Enoch.
That's exciting work.
I think it's very exciting, yes. So yeah, the artist, I've actually been working with, his name is Not2. I've been working with him on our YouTube channel before. He's done some amazing work for us with all the mental health content that we did. And he then went on to become a very successful NFT artist. I'll share maybe later with you. He has some very, very trippy NFTs that he did. But as you can see here, his art is, this is the SkyTrain here so basically the subway in Bangkok. He's also one of the top break dancers in Thailand. So as you can see him here breakdancing in the SkyTrain that he painted. He was in Berlin a lot when there was the last NFT craze, and he got a whole building wall with his art. He has multiple cars covered in his art. He did also merchandise for Intel and for many other big brands. So he's just very, very it's an amazing artist. Actually, we can go here to his Instagram. I encourage all of you guys to go there, follow him. I mean, he's just, I really love his art. There's just so much energy in there, and he did a lot of work with mental health, and a lot of it just has a lot of meaning in there. You can see every image. There's so much detail in every little single piece. So it's just, it's an amazing art to check out. And I think also with our NFTs, every one of them, you can go and see there's so much detail and so much thought behind all of this. So yeah,
a lot of hidden pulse chain content and gems inside of the NFTs, like
exactly.
Sami's chain.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, please check it out, follow him, and I'm super happy that we got to work with him. And I think it just creates a lot of very good energy around the whole project. And there we go. These are our council leaders. So these are some of the people that we want, that are helping us build the chain, not the chain, build the platform, right? And these are some of the people that will hold the first NFTs and make sure that no scams come through the platform and that no corrupt analysts and stakers and validators come through the platform as well. And hopefully we can grow this more with some of the people who are listening here. We're talking to many groups that are likely joining as well. So we're going to have a big group together that will come together, make sure that this platform stays decentralized and bribe free and attracts just really a lot of great projects to the chain. And we discussed that in the last call. I think people really don't like sacrifices, and there's a very good reason for that. And the same reason that, ICOs were horrible and there's so many scams going on. But if we imagine that every sacrifice would have been successful, right, that will completely change things. We all know then more and more projects will come and people will be making money, kind of contributing to projects and so forth. And I believe what we're building here is trying to achieve that. And to achieve that, we need the control of the platform to be in the hands of many people that we can ultimately trust, and that have a network that even if there's someone in the system that is breaking the system, that these people can make sure that that gets fixed, basically.
And I wouldn't even say like imagine all sacrifices were successful, because that's almost an impossibility. It's almost like imagine all sacrifices use the majority of their money towards the project. Just think about what different environment it would be like.
Yes.
Zero Negative says solid team. Am I the only one that thinks that Sasha Tagger looks a lot like Phil Collins?
I fully agree. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And then, there's just some of the content that we already produced. I think there's going to be many more videos coming here. We're producing a lot of explainers and everything. You can always go check out the website here. Here's a lot of detailed information. There's our whole history, the last 2 years, basically how we built everything and how it came together. And you can look at the in-depth review infrastructure, where you can read more about what happens at the different stages, how we review projects, how people flag bad reviews, all of these kind of things. So yeah, all the details are there. So
what's the URL that you want to point everybody to for this?
The URL, people can just go to curator.com, and then there's the bar up here where you can go to the NFT sale page.
What's that URL right there?
Curator.com/forge, CYRATOR.com/forge.
Pulse Ray, you want to throw that up on the link there?
Up on the screen.
Yeah.
Functional Crypto says he does his art in studio.
That's funny.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and then...
I really like that logo.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing that now.
So happy. Did you followed us producing it?
Yeah,
today,
I saw all the different versions you had of it. That one's the best by far to me.
Yeah, by far. That's the creative process, right? And actually this is Jamie who's put it together, and he's very good, and he's very quick. He comes up with a few ideas that are usually very rough and very early, but he puts it out there to get feedback very quickly, and I think that allows him in a very short amount of time to come up with something really cool.
Yeah, you guys are very efficient.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just trying to get this in the comments here and put it up for you guys.
Appreciate it, man.
Curator CYA
RATOR.
RATOR.
You want to call it Cyrator, right?
Just
I
call
always-
it Cyrator in your head, man. It doesn't
I
matter.
do call it Cyrator in my head all day long. That's just the way it reads, but I know what it means, so it's good.
Now, depending on where you're at in the world, you say stuff different, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Right. So yeah, curator.com/forge. And you guys can see the white paper and all that information on there. So that's awesome. What else did you want to go into about so you guys decided you guys were going to do a sacrifice for the Cure token at first, right? And you guys decided to have an NFT sell instead, right?
Yes, exactly.
I think a lot of that was motivated by like I was in quite a few private discussions with Mark and some other influencers, and whenever there was the thought of sacrifice brought up, people just like had PTSD, red flag. They were like, "Oh, what are you doing a sacrifice for? Like, what do you mean you need money?" Like, it was just all this type. People have such bad PTSD from this, so I don't even think like going forward, it's in the best interest of people to be using the sacrifice term anymore because people hate it. It just has so much bad reputation for the most part. I mean, some people might argue that against it, but for the majority of people that I see, they don't have much of anything good to say about a sacrifice anymore. And so, although it was a good model, I think that Richard Hart developed, and even though I did one myself, I think that I did one of the best ones. But this model is not very popular anymore. People are hating on it, so we just decided to avoid that bad press and get away from any of the hate that could have been coming for it. So instead, it's just a traditional NFT sale, but an NFT with utility beyond the art.
I think it also it distracts from like the basically the stigma that is around a sacrifice, right? Distracts from what we really want to achieve, which is a stronger fundraising mechanism, which can apply to so many different things, whether it's a sacrifice or a donation or even a security token.
That's on the individual project to decide. Yeah,
exactly.
Like,
Yeah, and Enix says timing is an important factor because there were a lot of sacrifices during the bull market that people were, you get the SAC price, and then of course everything's pumping, so you're doubling, tripling, getting all of these X's on your money. And so the last giant sacrifices that most people have PTSD from are the Pulse and the Pulse X sacrifice, because we sacrificed at the top of the market. And so the SAC rate is so high.
But I would just say that the term sacrifice wasn't even a thing until Richard Hart invented it. So I wouldn't say that there were a bunch of sacrifices in the bull market. Like, we never even had sacrifices in the bull market, unless you're considering this is now the sacrifice in the bull market. Like that's there hasn't even been that. You would be referring to the traditional fundraising mechanism before we even did all this. So I don't know, man. That's just maybe a hot take, but I think maybe we should try to go away from this because people just it's not good press. And like Mark's saying, we don't want to focus on this. This is a waste of our time and energy to even be having this conversation right now. We should be focusing on what we're building, the future, and how we can avoid all these other issues instead of having this conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I had a presentation maybe 18 months ago or so, one of the first times I presented a curator. And so what was very interesting, we basically talked about that all of this happened before, right? That during the Great Depression and before the Great Depression in U.S. history, right? Anyone could invest in any stocks in the New York Stock Exchange, right? And it became a huge boom because it was very similar. Some people made a lot of money investing early into the right projects. But then a lot of people lost a lot of money because everything was scams and people lost their entire livelihoods and stuff like that. And it got so bad that during the Great Depression, so many people lost so much money that the government then came up with these rules that only accredited investors could invest in projects and stuff, in companies and stuff like that. And then that obviously solved one problem, but it created this other problem that it's just access to these opportunities became very, very small and so forth, right? And then nothing happened until Bitcoin came, and then all these new cryptocurrencies came, and for the first time in almost 100 years, people anyone could again kind of invest in anything. And you had the same stories of some people getting very, very rich by getting into the right projects. But then you had the same problem coming again, that people were just getting scammed again, left and right. So the question is, can you, do you have to bring government regulation back in that controls everything, right? Or is there a better model? And I think that's what we're trying to build here, is saying, well, if we can use a decentralized, community-driven way of people informing each other and detecting what are, scammy projects or rug pulls and things like that, and informing each other to find really good opportunities, then maybe we don't need this government regulation, right? So that was one of the initial inspirations to do that. And I think that's what we're trying to do here, right? Is to find a much, much better model to fund projects and to give anyone the opportunity to take part in that.
And right around that time too in history, it's around the 1930s or so when these securities laws are being implemented. About half a century earlier, there wasn't the USD. We didn't have the US dollar yet. They didn't have a specific currency. They had shifted quite a few times throughout US history what was the main currency of the country. But typically, they would have businesses like your local grocery store, your local hardware store, whatever, would have their own currency, almost akin to like coupons or whatever. And so that type of monetary system was very popular back before we had this whole Federal Reserve USD fiat system where it's the limitless money printing. And that type of system has its upsides and its downfalls. And its upsides for that fiat system where a lot of people got really rich at the expense of everybody else. And you saw that same scam thing go on in the 1930s with the stocks. And then you're seeing that same scam thing go on here in modern day in crypto. It's a small group of people getting rich at the expense of the tiny, or at the expense of the majority. So what we want to do with these type of systems are recognize that those problems exist or are inherent in all of these systems, and it's like human nature. And we want to take that power away from that tiny little group of people that benefit the most and that have all the decision making into a more decentralized system where you still have a set of like checks though to make sure that the people that are involved aren't ignorant or aren't bad actors and stuff. So you keep people accountable while also keeping the system decentralized. And these problems are all like inherent in these systems and they're like human nature. So as we recognize this, these are all solutions that we try to come up with, but they're because of these underlying problems that just are in the monetary system that will never really go away. And so until we develop solutions like this, stuff like this is what can help change the future of finance in the world and money. And we hope that, not to be too sensationalized and everything, but that could be something that this type of project could achieve and help to inspire. And these are the conversations that like are more intriguing to me rather than, oh, is this an illegal security and blah, blah, sacrifice? Like nobody even knows. The regulators don't even know. So we're just wasting our time, and we should be thinking about solutions to our problems and stuff like this more so than being scared of Big Brother.
Yeah,
love it.
Give a shout out to Roof Dog. How's everyone doing today? Coin Critic, good morning. Good morning.
Hey guys.
How you guys doing today? Now let's imagine that all this development was already done. Let's jump a year into the future, and let's say that you are going to launch the Forge, the Cure tokens, and the NFTs. What would that look like if everything was set up for you to go through this process? What would it look like? Or what would be the first steps for a project once this is set up?
Okay, let's not say in a year in the future, because we're hoping this is in 6 weeks. So
okay, 6 weeks. Sorry.
But yeah, no. So basically, a project can just come to the platform, and they can go to Curator, and then there will be a link to the Forge, or they go directly to the Forge page, and there's an apply button. Click apply, and then you add your information depending on where you are. So maybe you're a very early project that only has a deck. Sometimes you only have a deck, or maybe you only have a white paper. And then you can put that in there, you submit. And that's it. Maybe you're already very well established project, much more well developed. It's a whole team. Then you can put your website, your videos, your decks, your everything that you have, right? So you submit all of that. Then we will have a background kind of sorting. So, kind of false submissions and stuff like that we sort out. And we have a process that we're developing. It's not launched yet, but there will be a kind of a community governed approach where the users can kind of help sort the project, and back certain project by staking towards them a bit and stuff like that. But long story short, these projects come in, there will be a big list, and then the analysts can come and pick the ones that they want to review. So the projects do need to, like advertise themselves a little bit. They need to say why you would want to review this. Hey, I'm a very interesting project. Come review me. I'm very unique, right? If someone comes and just submits a very, very boring project, there's a good chance that they will just not get any reviews, right?
And you think they should focus that marketing in like the curator Telegram group? If they were to come for new projects that wanted to spread their awareness or get their ideas out there, would you want them to like kind of pitch in the Telegram there, or where would you want to see them start their marketing?
Yeah, I mean, I would love it that there actually doesn't have to be any marketing, right? I think they can just go in, they submit. If it's an interesting project, then I think analysts will just jump on it anyways. So it's mostly about just what you put in the title of the project. And if you're not, I think it will all depend on how many analysts we have on there, how many projects we have, and sometimes there will be too much projects, sometimes too little. So it will depend a little bit on that. But when there's too much, maybe a project can pay $100 or something, a couple $100, and then some analysts will come in and review it because of that. So there's a bounty kind of option. And then if these analysts review it and say, hey, this is actually really good, then automatically the other analysts will start to notice it and review it more.
Will that bounty be posted on the platform, or would that be something they would do privately in their own?
No, in the platform.
Okay.
No, on the platform, all official. So basically the way it works will be a similar thing that they come in, they put a bounty, let's say they put $500, right? And now because of that, 10 analysts come in and say, oh, I want to review this. And maybe some of them are not so good analysts, others are better analysts. They come and they review all of that. And then over time, investors will come in and give some super upvotes, or even other analysts will give each other super upvotes for what are the best reviews. And based on that, they will then get a share of that bounty, right? So the more high quality your review is, not the better you rate it, because you're not getting paid from the project. The quality of your review matters. So that will happen. And all of that, I can show you guys quickly again. It's good to see how this actually looks. You can see the screen?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so this is how it looks. So all of this happens in this left section here. This is the dashboard for analysts. And in this left section, they review new projects that popped in here. And they can pick the ones that they like, and then they review it. You can go in here, and then you can see, oh, this has like 2 reviews here. And then they can say, oh, I'm going to review as well, right? And then they can write their stuff and add screenshots and things like that. So this will all happen in here. And the project will have to work on itself until it gets high enough ratings. And once the rating is maybe 3.5 stars from at least 5 analysts, then the project will pop into this in-depth review section. And that's where a lot deeper analysis happens, on tokenomics and team and technology and all these different things. So this is really kind of the incubation phase that happens. So that's how it is. And once it gets into this incubation phase, then it will it can hire people. So we'll have a job kind of marketplace where community members and analysts and so forth can be hired by the team, because they often are missing important people. They can improve. Often they get bad tokenomics rating, so they can change their tokenomics. All of that stuff they can improve. So before they ever start fundraising, they make sure that everything is in place. They have a strong team. Their tokenomics are fixed. Their business model is fixed. And when all of that is good, then they start a fundraising campaign. And I think by that point, especially after we've had a few successful projects, I think funding will be very quick for projects that went through the entire process and listened to the community and improved. And hopefully after that, that leads to a lot more successful projects, basically.
Cool. That's what it would look like if your project was going through this as well, right?
Yes, exactly. If you like anyone who's watching it, if you want to submit the project, again, I'm hoping that in just a couple of months we will launch, and then you can come, you submit your thing, and you'll get a lot of feedback, and you probably get a lot of people who like your project and join you, and then you can do a project together. It's going to be pretty awesome. I mean, you're gonna Dan. Okay, Dan is actually part of our team. He's one of our OG analysts, and
Shout out, bro.
yeah, thanks for joining. You could have actually, you can just join the StreamYard. It would be great to hear from you. Why don't you? I'll send him the link. He should come in and he should tell what he likes so much about it.
I did give Mike and Daniel both wrenches, so you guys are part of the moderator squad now.
Okay, so
yeah, come on if you want. Yeah, he says he'll jump on here.
But he doesn't have the link yet, right? So I'm gonna.
And Enoch says, "Y'all make me want a project."
Yeah.
Think of a solution for something. Make an invention. This is what this technology allows you to do. Exactly. Anyone can do it. There's no barriers.
Okay, I told him to join. Explain it himself.
Right, and I don't know if you guys, going back to what you were saying earlier about the accredited investor and things of that nature. A lot of people have been watching this movie Dumb Money, which is a fictionalization of the GameStop drama, where they ran that up on Reddit, and then Robinhood locked everyone out, and they locked him out of his portfolio because he was showing people every day, what his portfolio was and that he hadn't sold. And then they took that off as well. So they kind of broke up communications. And then, like they said, they turned off the sell button for the retail investors, but not for the institutional investors. Right. And so they were able to take their profits and, trounce on everyone else. So
that's why I hate the stock market, man. I didn't ever get involved with the stock market at all. The only stock market trade I ever made, actually, ironically, was the GameStop. And I bought it the day before it went to $400 or something. It was at $40. And I tried to sell it a couple days later and was getting halted and shit and couldn't sell. And I'm like, what is this bullshit? I can't sell. I don't want to have anything to do with this. I can only trade during a certain time. And coming from crypto, I'm like, dude, this is ass. I don't want to be involved with this at all. I'm done. I didn't even ever learn about it. I don't care about the stock market. Send it to zero, bro. I don't care.
So D3 Young is in the house now. If you want to join in, how are you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right on. So I've been with the project since Mark blew me away about a little over a year ago, and it's awesome. I just been listening to you guys. You're covering it very well, doing a great job, Mark. But I don't think what a lot of people realize is that the Forge is not just on paper. You're looking at it on paper, Mark, showing you this, white paper and this special page, but this isn't, all these typical projects that raise money and then build something. Mark went out and bootstrapped this whole concept. You've heard this whole story. This really is proof of concept. It's been working for a long time, and the private review process is really cool. That's the Forge. And what I was asking Mark to talk about is what he covered a lot, but what's really cool about the Forge is a couple of really neat aspects. Is one, it's private if you want it. if an analyst wants to pick you up and just, this is, hey, hot new project, put it out there. And as he said, people get excited and they want to review it. But other options are that you go into a private mode, and that's only the project and the analyst that can see it. And so there's a lot of confidential conversation that takes place. There's like an AMA potentially where we sit down with the projects and talk to them, and you'll learn a lot more in a 30-minute AMA like you're doing here, asking questions and reading through the white papers, etc. But the really, really cool part that Mark came up with, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, was this blinded aspect. So you get 5 reviews, and all 5 of those people can't see the other person's work. You know, if one person writes something and says something disparaging, and then the second person goes in and reads it, you're going to have this common theme. But now you're going to get 5 reviews from 5 diverse, you know, analysts, professionals in the space that are, you know,
unique
investors or enthusiasts or KOLs or whatever they are, you know, on our side. And it's amazing. We have not met a project yet that isn't just blown away by the advice they get. We either confirm something they feared, or confirm something they were excited about, or spot holes they didn't see. So, you know, the blinded aspect is pretty amazing. And you can come out with just 5 reviews and the feedback. And I mean, that's more feedback than 90% of the projects probably get out there ever. And that's just the beginning, right? Mark talked about the left and the right side. So that's just the left side of the Forge. Then you move over to the right side, and now we take the deep dive, and now we're going into, you know, looking everything up and really calling things out. And I'm sure, I don't know how much Mark went into the Believe as an example, but you know, there's a lot that goes back and forth in the project, and you know, they make corrections and cover misunderstandings, and you know, whatever. They drop back and change their website and their documentation, and then represent themselves. And this is what this is all about. And we've seen it in action. I don't know, Mark, what, 100+ projects at least?
Yeah. I actually want to show
some
something.
of them, like, some are pitch decks. Some of them are just the paper. Some of them are, you know, pretty well along. But
yeah, I'm going to show you guys something. So what we see a lot is there's a huge valley between the projects and the analysts, you know.
Yeah.
And it's very, very difficult to overcome that. So because basically analysts, most projects will get 1 or 2 stars when they get reviewed, and this happens all the time. And many projects end up getting upset, right? And it's like, you didn't understand my project, you didn't read the entire white paper, you didn't do all your research, and blah blah blah, you know. And it's just it's a huge gap between these two. And we did realize that very often having an AMA really then cleared a lot of these things up. But it just showed that I want to say 99% of the projects, especially these early stage projects, their presentation, people just don't get it. They don't get what the project does. They don't know what it wants to. They don't understand the technology. They don't understand anything. And on the other hand, the projects, they expect the analysts to do hours and days and weeks of research to read all of their documentation. And you just can't expect that from analysts. They might look at your thing for 10 minutes, and if they don't get it, what it's about, or it's not interesting, they'll drop it, right? And then they leave a reply saying, you know, this or that is bad, and the projects get upset. And I think this is the downfall of so many projects, that they start defending their project, saying, you didn't read this, you didn't do that, instead of trying to figure out, hey, why do you think that? And maybe if you think like that, probably lots and lots of other people think like that too. So we've dealt with that issue quite a bit, and you can see we've already started a lot of these. We create a lot of documentation. Basically, it helps projects to deal with that, and we call this here the investor problem. Right. And the problem is that what founders want to say and what investors want to hear is very, very different. And you need to find this common ground for projects to communicate effectively. So I'm not going to read all of the stuff here, but basically the problem is that founders, they have spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours in their project. They know every little detail, right? But investors, they might spend 15 to 30 minutes looking at your thing, right? So they have a completely different place that they're coming from. And usually during these early AMAs, what we see is if the founders are really open to listen, And because what they want to say, what is important for them about a project, is often not what is important for the investors. And if they can find the thing that is important to them and that the investors also find important, if they can find that common ground, then they can actually present their project in a way that is very powerful and that many people will then like, and that can basically lead to success ultimately. So yeah, so there's a lot of intricacies there that are very important, and I think if we can teach the project and the analysts to work together like that, a lot of benefit can come for the entire industry basically.
And one of the biggest things there, or best skills that you could have as a project founder, is the ability to shortly summarize your thoughts, or to take a series of text that you have written and summarize it down into as little as possible. Because of this attention economy, there's so few people that are willing to spend this amount of time, like Mark is saying, to do the deep diving. So if you can get infographics or little point by point lists, stuff that people can look through very quickly, can understand, those are the best things for your project. And especially when you're marketing, you want to just have quick little hitter points. You don't want to have paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of text. Even if you might need it, you could link to somewhere else that has it. To learn more, you can go here. But when you're presenting your ideas to these people, or anyone really, you want to have what they call the elevator speech or whatever, the 1 minute chill. You want to get line by line by line out everything quickly. And as a project founder, that's one of the best things, one of the best qualities you can have, and a skill that you should definitely focus on, summarizing your thoughts into as condensed a message as possible.
Yeah, you're speaking to Sylvan's comment right here. It says, interesting view, very true. I'm a founder myself. I'm struggling to make make the pitch as easy as possible. It's very hard, as I know every in and out. It's a whole nother level. So yeah,
it's difficult, man. And what the problem is often too is what you have to accept and realize is that you probably don't know enough about it yourself if you can't explain it to everybody else. So you, like, the biggest sign of intelligence is someone that can take something extremely complex and simplify it so that other people can understand it. So maybe you just need to spend more time in whatever project it is or whatever details you're having summarizing, and learn more about it, build up more analogies, look at similar words and stuff, like to have a dictionary, thesaurus, all that type of stuff, like basic stuff.
I have one thing I want to add to that. So there's a book that I got given to me from another entrepreneur about 10 years ago that I really, really recommend anyone to get who's doing their own project. And it's called Get Shit Done. It's very cool. And it's just every page has one quote from one of the famous tech entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And it's just very inspirational and helps you a lot to do important things in difficult times. And the very important thing here is that we're doing a lean startup. And lean startup, you try to get as much done with as little resources as possible. And what they say is you have to get your idea out there and get feedback from people as early as possible. So one line, and I think it was from the Twitter founder. I know you guys don't like Twitter, but the guy is pretty okay, the founder. And he said, if you don't absolutely hate your first launch, you've launched too late, right? And the important part here is that people spend so much time creating all their documentation and everything, blah, 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 blah. And then they send it out there, and then people don't like it because they focus on the wrong message, right? So what you need to do is, as soon as you have a little scribble, right, take that and show it to people and see what they say. Is this something that people are interested in or not? And do that as much as you can, as painful as it is. Do that as often as you can. And then when you see, oh, this is actually something people interest, then you develop your elevator pitch and your pitch deck and all your stuff from there. Because then this is actually what people are interested in. So yeah, I wanted to add that to what he said, proof of no work.
Yeah, bro, contributing to your thin startup idea there, like, think about it this way. All of us are doing this unpaid right now, out of belief, out of faith in this. I haven't received $1 from Mark or the team for doing any of this. I just believe in the project. All these analysts on here are just doing this to network together, to review projects, to maybe potentially get tokens and stuff. But once you financially incentivize all this and give people rewards and stuff, imagine the amount of attraction it's going to bring. Imagine the amount of value and money it could bring to this. Like this has so much potential, and with this thin or the idea of starting, just get it out there, get your idea going, get it out there. It's usually the best move. You don't want to launch something too early that's flawed or that has, in the smart contract world, it has bugs or stuff like that. But don't hold on to an idea forever and try to make it perfect, because you'll come to find there really isn't a perfect idea. They're all going to have issues. So your best to just get it out there and then improve upon it, or maybe learn from your mistakes and go again.
Yeah, the Coin Critic says, with so many failing projects, how to curate those few that aren't bad ideas or fails. And then he follows up, kind of like the same problem as how Shark Tank curates contestants. Good entertainment, but many of those fell after the show.
Yeah.
I think
I don't think that show's real, man. I feel like that's all scripted BS TV.
Yeah. Phoenix says, yes, sir, my mind is about to explode. Academaciated says, afternoon, all good to see you. Hex Flex is in the house. And it says, interesting, the advice aspect is cool. Incubator value to the project is useful as well. Yeah. And then Enoch says, when you launch, you're ready. Reminds me of Sir Richard Hart. And then let's see here. The Coin Critic says, vetting startups in Silicon Valley overlays with this idea. There's a lot of possible value here. So many blockchain fails are funded by VCs whose analysts are 12 months behind in real experience. So that is true. You'll be getting like real time of where crypto is now instead
public
of
data
where it was a year ago.
That everyone can access. Yeah.
I think Coin Critic made a lot of very good points here.
Yeah, he also says a diverse group of real analysts could add a lot of value to founders. How does Forge and their analysts make money? The sharpest people's time and advice isn't free.
Yes, that's a good point. So there's different models that we're working on. So far on Curator itself, we just had a token model, and token gets given out, and eventually, there's revenues tied to the token. With the upcoming Forge, we're actually going to give analysts a share of all the tokens on the platform. So projects come and they can donate a share of their tokens to encourage engagement. And then analysts who get the most super upvotes from investors who value good reviews, they will get a share of those tokens. So basically, the better your reviews are, the more you earn super upvotes from others, the more tokens you get. You will also get better allocation. So you can be both an investor and an analyst. And if you come and you write good reviews and people upvote your stuff a lot, then you get bigger, cheaper allocations in the project. We may also give some additional tokens on top of that from the platform itself, but we're not so sure yet. Those parts will definitely tune as the platform runs to make sure we optimize all the incentives.
Sylvan says, if you can't explain to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. Albert Einstein. And here's a good question. Enoch says, do you have an analyst training camp?
We actually, we just started. So we just have our first videos. I'm also going to share quickly, but this is going to get expanded a lot over the coming year.
This dude Mark's got solutions for everything, man.
It's a lot to build, so this is now on Curator, but so basically Curator is for rating and reviewing any project. You can go and review Bitcoin or Pulse Chain or anything on there. The Forge is really the Launchpad for startups that are looking for funding, right? So just to make clear what the distinction is between these two. So if you want to come and apply as an analyst, we have here a tutorial page, which for now has 3 videos. And this is not yet so much geared for the Forge. This is more for general reviews. This just explains how you sign up. This is a 5-minute video explaining what a good review is. And here just a little bit. Generally, people come in and they explain a project, and that's not really what a good review is. A good review is you analyzing a project and then giving just your opinion or the most important pointers, because people who want to come and learn about a project, they don't want to read one explainer after another. They want to just hear from you, just if you had a beer with a friend, how you explain a project, what is the most important part. So that's what this video here explains. And then this is also more for regular updates. This is the importance of people following up on projects and telling us, if a project has lots of great updates. This will be expanded a lot over the coming year with many more videos. I'm also focusing on startups specifically and what to look for. Thanks for the question.
Hey, if I could jump back in for a second, I just wanted to probably reinforce something you guys have been saying indirectly. So it seems like there's a lot of, so let me get my camera on here. It seems like there's a lot of excitement, obviously, on the investment side and being part of this community and shaping and the Forge side. But for anybody that knows me, I'm into pre-sales pretty big. I've got another little investment pool here that we do things. And we get approached. Mark and I have gone to 4 or 5 shows together just in the last 6 months. Vietnam, Dubai, Singapore, and I'm telling you, we get overwhelmed with the projects that want to come into this. So, I mean, that's really what it's about. Is, in my opinion, is Pulse Chain has had a hard time attracting people from the outside to come and consider it. And we've got so many projects. I personally have a project of my own that I'm part of that I can't wait till the Forge is ready. This project is going to launch on Pulse Chain, whether it, no matter how well it does in the Forge, just come into Pulse Chain. But just there's so many projects and they're excited. I mean, we really, honestly, just hundreds, maybe thousands at any given day want to come and knock on the door and get a chance. So I think the community is going to be very, very happy when this thing gets in place and you start to see what's actually going through it. I mean, we had to internally say we were only going to look at 5 new ones a day because we had so many. We were queuing them up, considering, was there a fee if you wanted to jump the queue? So it's the demand is there on the project side as well.
Yeah, I compare that to the mempool, man. How you're saying that the mempool is like the backlog of transactions that haven't been processed yet that are waiting to be processed. And so, how do people what's the problem with the ETH Black gas fees? It's that people are jumping the line to get their transaction prioritized because they're waiting in the mempool. And so that's a very similar analogy there. These projects that want to get started right now that are ready to go in order to jump the line, they could give some more token allocation or listen to the community more, do whatever they want because they're going to be a backlog, most likely, is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it depends on our analyst, Mark, and I love Mark. He's got a lot of great sayings. So one of his famous ones, and we remember we've been together for a year now, but he's like, this is a now problem. So I considered us for a while. I was running around saying we were a due diligence engine, and we really don't like due diligence so strongly. It's a market research, but it is due diligence. But we're a decentralized engine, human curation engine, and there's only so much 60 analysts can chew up. But when we have 200 analysts, 500 analysts, 1,000 analysts, maybe just 1,000 on the Pulse community, right? That's a whole different story. So we don't know how big the queues will be, but yeah, right now, like 5 a day. I mean, trust me, it's 5 a day consistently coming in, going out, and it's a lot. There's a lot of demand, guys. A lot of projects don't know what chain they want to be on. They don't know a lot of stuff. So there's so much opportunity.
The head of AWS Web3 fund said that there's over 1 million active crypto startups in the market right now.
Wow,
it's insane.
Yeah, we see it. So,
by the way,
it's not only the investor, but the projects are so excited as well. So,
I just want to say that Dan actually came up with the term the Forge. So,
nice.
Just so that everyone knows.
Yeah, the Coin Critic was just validating what Daniel was just saying, that there's a product market need for this. Many pitfalls, but it's needed in the space.
And like I was saying earlier too, we only have this little select pool of analysts right now, but we're all being unpaid. when the money comes, there's going to be way more people that come into this, in my opinion, and they're definitely going to come and have way more value add when there's financial incentive.
I think there's going to be thousands of analysts, and I think we're going to be solving a problem. Even the biggest VCs and everything, they might have 100 analysts or something. And also the incentives are quite strange there. The junior analysts, they might get a salary and things like that. They don't invest themselves. I talked to quite a few junior analysts, and they look at projects with very different eyes than Dan, for example, here, who invests in projects themselves, right? You just, when you put your own money, you look at things very, very differently. And on our platform, everyone who is an analyst is also an investor. They're all, and on our platform, I think there's not a single analyst who has never invested in a project. They come here to find projects to invest in. So I think we will be able to just have a much, much bigger scale than.
And if all these other communities see how crazy engagement we get, the Pulse Chain community, and you're a startup, obviously money is a big issue for the startup, but one of the biggest things that new projects need is users. They need community, they need people. So if they see that this is the most active, ready community, you're going to attract a lot of projects to this community.
I think we need the coin critic on our team. He makes so many good points right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, like point out to Mark's point, and I think you made it too, proven to work, that the diversity of a decentralized analyst pool. I mean, we've got NFT experts, we've got GameFi experts, we've got metaverse experts, we've got, people that are just, ecosystem experts like Pulse Chain experts, and your dev, yourself there, so it's so diverse, that the specialties that we bring to the table, that's what the magic is, right? It's this lens that Marcus talked about. Everybody looks at it a little bit differently, and you're getting that lens. So as a user of the site, you probably resonate with 2 or 3 people that speak your language, right? That vibrate the way you would take in information. So that's understated right there. And I've seen this grow from 5 or 6 analysts in the beginning to now 60 plus, and leaderboard gets exciting. I mean, it's the whole thing. Every level of this is so exciting and well thought out, and there's 1,000 ideas in Mark's big head that he hasn't even laid out for you guys yet. So yeah, it's exciting times.
I think we all have a lot of big ideas for it, so that's a cool part, right?
And for the people that are just listening into this on replay, or if they're at work, the Coin Critics' other point was, I worked with Y Combinator Incubator. So many good projects come through Y Combinator. General public isn't aware of how successful incubators and feedback loops are to young folk. And
not even age, just
decentralized team. He's all in on the decentralized team, so he's in on this.
Awesome.
Sorry to cut you off. Proof of no work. Go ahead.
No, bro. I was just adding to that. I was just saying, it doesn't matter your age. It's just your experience in the market. You could be 25 years old and have 10 years of experience in crypto at this point, or you could be 55 and never have gotten into it.
No.
Do we have any questions from the DGen roundtable? Are you guys in the Telegram? Ask them if they got any questions.
Yes, I actually have a few. Thanks for having us. Firstly, sorry I couldn't hop on earlier. I was out on the road. But I do have a few questions that I wanted to bring up to all of you here on the panel. So I certainly love the value proposition of the Forge and of Cyrator.com. Someone who's been in sales my whole life, run a few sales businesses myself. I know that the reputation is can make or break you, and so I think something like this platform that can foster relationship between creators, investors, and their customers based on a good reputation and based on trust, I think can certainly be successful. So Nate is our primary point of contact. He's the one that has exchanged the most with Mark, and he shared some of the insights that you've given him over the past week about this project. Now, forgive me if some of these questions have already been answered. I came on a little bit late, but he mentioned that that NFTs and token allocations are going to be used to vote on the projects that come through the Forge. So I'm on the website right now, so I can see that the NFTs, so the holders are able to vote on the governance, right? So freezing funds on failing projects and expelling corrupt participants. Yes. Now, he also mentioned that the token allocations are going to be used in voting as well. Can you expand on that for me a little bit?
Yes, I'm just gonna. We did show that before already, but it's always good to look at it again. I'm just gonna go on the platform, makes it much easier to understand. So here we go. This is this review space. I'm just gonna quickly go to my favorite example project here. This is Belief. So this was a startup that we reviewed. There's over like 20 reviews here. And you can see there's analysts, many different analysts reviewing it. But then the reason this review is at the top is because it has all these super upvotes. So we have analyst roles on the platform. We have an investor role on the platform, and we have this council. So the analysts will need to lock some tokens in order to write reviews, because if they misbehave, if they get bribed and things like that, we want to be able to slash them and expel them from the platform. So that's one reason you will need to lock up tokens, not the NFT. Now, the second reason is the super upvotes down here. So investors, because this is a Launchpad, they can lock up tokens, and the more tokens they lock up, the bigger allocations they get in projects that come through. However, that's just the first part. The second part is, you can see down here, I have 6 super upvotes available this week. So the more tokens I have locked up, the more super upvotes I have. And that allows me to go and super upvote the reviews that I like the most. And super upvoting basically verifies these reviews. Now, by doing that, I'm implicated in the review. So if someone comes and says, hey, wait a minute, this review is a shill, we've been paid to do this, then the analyst who wrote it and everyone who super upvoted can be slashed. So this is the second very important role, that investors lock up tokens to get allocations and to do these super upvotes. And they get better allocations based on locking up tokens and by giving out a lot of feedback through these super upvotes, so that they can do both to get better allocations. And this is very important to make this whole work because of the incentives. Sorry, before I move on, the third part is, let's say a project comes and it bribes, 10 analysts to write it good reviews, and then it bribes 50 investors to come and super upvote all these reviews. Even though that's going to be very hard to do, let's say it does that, it takes a lot of money, so it can pull off a scam. Now, this is where the NFT holders come in. The NFTs is a separate group. They can still come in and they can say, hey, wait a minute, you guys have been bribed. We are going to slash and expel everyone who has been involved in these reviews. So all the investors will get their token slashed, and the analysts will get their token slashed.
But I think it's important to have that human element involved in it too, because unlike if you just had, like, say you reviewed a project and it was a bad project and something like that, you wouldn't necessarily have a smart contract or an AI or an algorithm that just says you made one bad review, it's bad. Maybe the human review process could say, oh, this was an exception. Maybe this person wouldn't made a mistake or whatever. Not just necessarily banished because you made one bad review.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be many different levels of penalties depending on, sometimes it's maybe not that you were bribed, maybe sometimes you post a lot of false information and keep being flagged and stuff like that. That can be another reason. Sometimes you might be reprimanded, not expelled immediately. I'm just giving some extreme cases here. But to answer your question, the tokens are used to basically vote, to write reviews and to upvote reviews. And the NFTs are much more, they're outside this, they're like hovering over this ecosystem, like a Supreme Court kind of, that can come in and say, oh, we have here some bad apples, we can vote them out. That's what happens. And then, of course, once a project actually finishes all of this and they can start their fundraising process in the smart contract, right? So people will send funds to that smart contract. And then let's say the project doesn't achieve its milestones, then the NFT holders can connect to the smart contract and vote to freeze and return the funds. So that's the role of the NFT.
A lot of bad actors out there might be thinking that now you explain this, well, then let's just cut the roll and go to the top and just bribe the NFT holders or whatever alone. But You can't do that because in order to get to the NFT holders that have a decision, they have to come through the other 2 levels. So you're going to have to bribe all 3 levels of people and now essentially just corrupt the entire platform in order to get yourself launched. It just doesn't, there's no financial incentive to do so. And it doesn't make any sense in the type of scenario that would actually work.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, in order for you to become an analyst, you do have to have the token allocations, which will allow you to write the reviews and which will give you the super upvote ability.
Yes, but keep those separate. The analysts will have to lock to write, and then investors will lock to get super upvotes and to get allocations in the project.
And the idea is to have the analysts have to put a little financial stake in order to put the review up so that they don't just put malicious bad reviews to flood the system with garbage. So they have to pay a fee, to be a part of it essentially.
Okay, so the analysts lock up the token so that they have the ability to write reviews, and then the super upvotes are for the investors to lock up in order to upvote the reviews itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, and because you would want to do that as an investor because you have a project here that you really like and you want to see it go to the top and the best favorable review, something that writes a very good review about the project that you have, you're going to want to upvote that one. So you'll super upvote that to get it to the top of the ranking.
Yeah, not just that, you also want to you want to have good analysts on the platform. So you want to reward when you see, hey, this guy is really smart. Maybe some guy says, oh, maybe 5 guys say, oh, this is a great project because they're not that smart, And then one guy comes in and he points out lots of big issues and says this and this and this and this is wrong, 1 star. And you as an investor see that and say, oh, thank God he points that out. I'm going to give you the super upvote because you deserve it. We need more reviews like this on the platform. Right?
And the analysts have incentive to do that too, because then they'll get rewarded via the super upvotes and the upvotes on their review. So if they see something wrong, they'll want to come in and correct it, and they have incentive to do so.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, one more question that I have for you guys. So a project can start off as seemingly honest, right? But it can become corrupted somewhere down later along the line. I think the examples we could think of, right? FTX, Celsius, Luna. Do you have systems in place that will allow you to pivot quickly if something like this were to happen to one of the projects promoted in your platform that has had up until that point probably good reviews?
Well, I think that's what the escrow smart contract handles. You want to talk about that, Mark?
Yeah, I think there's various things. So first of all, let's say that happened all before the fundraising, right? So a project comes in, they want to raise funds, which used to be a sacrifice, especially in Pulse Chain, right? So now instead of projects just coming in and say, we give us money and then people send, right? We say, okay, we put this whole process in front, which might take 3 months or something like that. And let's say they start off not corrupted, and within these 3 months they get corrupt, right? You can still have one analyst who comes in and sees, oh my God, look, everything has changed. There's lots of big flags, and then he writes that, and then many people upvote that single review, and that brings their rating down, and that will make it very hard because it's not that the Forge is a platform that decides to invest, right? We're doing the reviews. And at the time of the fundraise, when you see all the reviews, that's when the people can then decide, I want to invest or not. Now, actually, to what Proof of No Work said, there's many other protections in place. So it's not that the funds will be sent to the project and now it can run away because it survived the due diligence, right? So that's where we call it the well. So we have kind of the Forge is the due diligence and the well will be the smart contract. So to get a good rating, the project has to use that smart contract to say, I'm going to raise funds via this, and I'm going to create a campaign, and I'm going to say what milestones I'm going to achieve and how much money I need. And then let's say it needs $100,000 over 6 months, something like that. And it can say every month it gets $15,000 plus, right? So the people then fund it, they send the money there. And now let's say it gets the first 15,000, and now it has to achieve some milestones. And let's say now it doesn't achieve its milestones anymore, it becomes corrupt, it runs away with the money. So the remaining 85K that's still in the smart contract, that's where these NFT holders can come and say, we vote to block that money and eventually return it to the people. So that happens there as well. We're probably also going to work with Maddie Allen, who I forgot the name
Time
of his
Pays Me.
Time Pays Me, yeah.
It's
So
not a coin, it's just a dApp.
It's a dApp, yeah. So our network, the Forge is an open network. It's decentralized, so other people can come and plug in their services. And Time Pays Me is like a founder's vesting contract, basically. So when they create their token, let's say they get funded, they create their token, and they're about to do TG or something. So now they can take their team allocation and send it to this app and decide how it's going to get released to them. Because a lot of tokens have a problem that you have these massive founder wallets, right? That can just crash projects in a day, right? So this prevents that. So when a project comes and does the fundraising, they have to declare, I'm going to use that contract. I'm going to use that contract, right?
And like, let's say in the first tranche, right, they were going to get that from the example of 15K and say that they were going to provide that all that 15K was used for was to provide liquidity, the initial liquidity for the token. And instead of providing liquidity, they just took that 15K or they put $500 initial liquidity or something like that. Then that's a point you could step in and say, like, you need to correct this before we move forward. And then, you set a deadline. Whenever they don't reach the thing by the deadline, then that's when the return would be done or whatever.
Of course, at some point, once it gets to FTX level and it's already been going on for 2 years and stuff like that, I think then that goes beyond what our platform can do. But as long as we have some, the smart contract has some custody over the money, then these NFT holders and actually different groups will also be involved, can freeze and return these funds.
Gotcha. Okay. So another question, and please stop me if I'm asking too many things. So Proof of No Work mentioned that it's very difficult for bad actors to work their way up to the NFT holders to bribe them. Why is it difficult? Like, is
financially difficult because they'd have to bribe the analysts, and then they'd have to bribe the investors, and then they'd have to bribe the NFT holders. And so by the time that you bribe your way up to the chain here, you're also going to need to bribe a lot of the NFT holders at the top if you want them to have like an objective say to just pass you through everything. So your financial incentive, when you're just trying to do a Launchpad, you're going to need most of the time when you're doing a Launchpad, you need money. That's what you're doing it for, right? I mean, that's the whole premise. So you're probably not going to start out with a bunch of money, at which point you're going to pay and take a time sink, which you're just going to use to then raise funds, which then at the end of all of this, even if you get through that, there's an escrow smart contract that's only leaking you out the funds. So do you understand? Like, it's people could do it. It's not to say it's an impossibility, and some people definitely might try it, but these systems are in place to make it as though like you're wasting your time and money.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And that was it. More questions?
This is kind of like this.
I was waiting for a stream.
Feedback, right? Like, you guys are getting real-time feedback on the project, just like people are hoping there. Lehman's Ape says, great stream. Really looking forward to the launch. And he says, Pulse Chain will really benefit from this project. The Forge will weed out so many bad actors and stop rugs in its tracks. And then, of course,
that's why I'm supporting it, man.
Coin Critic says, interesting experiment, seems to be missing some skin in the game for the project. They get free advice, feedback, investor exposure, while the analysts, investors, NFT holders bet on the come.
That's a good point.
And then he also says the time vault's a good twist to keep the team engaged. I like that. And then return to who and how, though. Who administers the refunded funds?
The contract.
The contract, that's automatic. Okay, not sure. But the contract just sends it directly to the wallets that sent it to the contract. So.
And I think this is him weighing in on the answer that Agent J said. Financially, it doesn't make sense. There's so many levels. So there's more to lose than to gain. Kind of like we were talking about eBay back in the day, how if someone has like 9,000 positive reviews and the 5-star, they're probably not going to screw you over on a $15 item, right? To risk that reputation. So it's kind of like the Byzantine generals problem, right? where it's like it's better for everyone to do what's good for the masses than to try to be selfish and take from it.
Yeah,
And then,
exactly. That's really applicable here. I definitely agree.
Another one, Coin Critic says maybe there's a devil advocates analyst that shits on everything that's unbribable.
There's a guy that does that for the Pulse Chain
Tartarian.
community. He shits on anything Pulse Chain related, doesn't read the white paper, doesn't read the project, and just is hated. So you'll get those people, man. I think he might have something coming for him with these NFT holders, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moondog's in the house, red and love and light as always. Great. Did anyone else have any other questions in the chat or on stream for Mark and
I do have one more. So when we're talking about the token allocations that's required for you to either write the review or super upvote, so for each and every single project that comes through would you need to be a token holder of that particular project to write the reviews and to super upvote? Or is there like one token that we have to hold in order to review and upvote?
One token. That's the Cure token. It's from the Curator platform.
Yeah, that's the native token of the chain. That's what he's talking about, where you'll need to have that token. You won't need to have the tokens from the projects or anything coming in. It will be the Cure token.
Hey, I wanted to jump in real quick. Mark, I'm surprised you passed this up, but who was it that talked about skin in the game?
It was a coin.
Okay.
Coin
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's so much here. It's so hard to unpack all the layers that happen. I mean, there's SEO benefit for our site, which then helps everybody else and community. And did you touch on the reverse sacrifice aspect and for the NFT holders?
Yes. I explained. I didn't call it a reverse sacrifice. I just called it that.
Okay, well, yeah, we don't like that word, but what? Yeah.
Projects can offer a portion of their tokens when they start to encourage the reviews.
Yeah, so most launchpads take 10% to 15% in different project tokens or stables or both. So we were going to take most of those funds and distribute it back to the analysts. So there's plenty of skin in the game. I mean, being an analyst right now, much like Proof of No Work has been saying this whole time, I've been there a year, same thing. Just accumulating tokens, giving as much as I can, and I feel like I'm winning, right? I've been introduced to great projects, the networking that happens, and
finding value in the data here. This is
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. There's just so many layers. So yeah, I mean, if you're going to look at it, it looks like the project gets the big end of the stick in terms of what they're getting, but really we gain so much too, and So I don't know, Mark, if you want to add.
And you kind of want to give the project the big end of the stick to get them to come here. That's what we want.
Absolutely. Why not? It's a win-win. Everybody wins in this.
Yeah, everybody's winning in this. Yeah.
I do think we will, maybe not at the very beginning, but I think eventually the projects will have to lock some tokens because we also don't want the project to misbehave. So I think that we'll have to see how that works out a little bit. I mean, many things will still have to be tuned. The more projects come in and the more you grow, new problems arise. But I
would say, especially with the people expecting the bull market to come back, the projects, like you said, there's going to be a really fierce competition to get the reviews and to get the spotlight and to get the funding.
Yeah. I mean, once we launch this, and we get active, I don't know why a project would go to any other place or an investor would go to any other place, right? Because all these launchpads, I mean, Dan can speak a lot to that, right? But there's very little vetting going on. There's very little due diligence going on, stuff getting launched.
Or as an analyst, giving your data, it's like akin to just shit posting on Twitter all day for free. So why not come monetize it?
Yeah.
Also, he's asking 333 followers on X Twitter, been around for a year. What have you guys been doing for exposure? I know you guys have started another X account for the Forge specifically.
What's that account, Mark?
I have to go check, but maybe I answer this question first.
you go check, Mark. I can take this one if you want.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, the whole thing is Mark bootstrapped this and put all the framework in place, but the emphasis up until right before we engaged with the Pulse community, maybe literally like 2 or 3 weeks before that, was only on the analysts. We didn't care about the users of the platform. We just were doing analyst push. We needed to get, I think our goal was like initially we wanted to review the top 1,000 tokens by market cap, and we kind of moved into a lot of the pre-sale space. But it was all about building this decentralized engine so we could chew up things. I don't know if you talked about our WoW Summit relationship, but we've been to 2 conferences where we actually are the engine that scores 50 projects in a matter of a couple of days so that they can do a giveaway. So it was really important to kind of build the car first before we worry about, building the fan base. So
it hasn't been a big marketing thing going on. This has been all organic marketing. And this is really the organic marketing outreach, these type of attempts where you just go and explain it, have conversations with people, go to groups, go to meetings, go on YouTube, Telegram, Twitter. But I don't know, we haven't probably focused a lot of attention on the Twitter/X side of the platform because it's been more internal building and focusing on developing the project. It's as exposed to outbound marketing on Twitter, really.
Yeah, so I actually want to expand on that a little bit. I mean, the first year was really, it's a private, not a private, it's a public beta, right? So we were really building, actually CoinCritic, you mentioned before, it's a very difficult problem, these rating sites and so forth, right? And we've experienced it. Dan was there from the beginning. The review mechanism, how we reward analysts for reviews and how we make sure that the rewards doesn't create bad reviews, right? That it actually creates good reviews, this super upvoting each other. We've went through several iterations of how the upvoting goes, how the reviewing goes. The term micro review was one type of review that we figured out a few months in that we need, right? So there has been a lot of innovation and building and tuning in this first year. The very first instance, basically, people started coming in and reviewing, and we just said people are going to get points if they get upvotes, which worked really well in the beginning when it was 10 of us and we were all kind of friends, But when then other people started coming in, we realized if we upvote someone else, we're basically giving them more tokens, and that didn't work anymore. So we came up with these super upvotes. And that worked for a while until even more people came in and they started creating these upvoting groups. So we had to introduce staking and slashing and all these kind of things. So we focused absolutely zero on outreach during this first year. And we really built the core functionality. I think it's very solid. But in terms of marketing, what was very exciting, and I'm going to share my screen here again. Dan, who's here, luckily, is actually an SEO expert. And about half a year in, when we started to get our first 1,000 reviews or so, we started connecting the platform to like Google search. And this here is our traction. So this is basically, we started about somewhere here, right, in January last year. And then we basically didn't get any traffic. But around here, we saw that we got our reviews actually started popping up for some good searches. And then we created a lot of SEO here. And since then, our Google traffic is growing at 50 to 70% every month and just keeps going up and up and up.
Up and to the right, baby.
Up and to the right, yes. And you can actually see it if you search for Cardano tokenomics, for example. We're number 1 search result. If you go for Ton tokenomics, we're also number 1 search result. I can find you many more examples here. And sometimes these are reviews that are 9 months old. This SEO is something that builds very slowly, but as Google analyzes your page and sees that it's very solid content. One thing here is that our average time spent of someone who comes through a search result is more than 3 minutes. So on average, people come and they really read our reviews. Other websites, usually the bounce rate is very high and you have people spending a few seconds on the page.
Yeah, we're talking usually like less than 10 seconds, right?
Yeah, exactly. So our average time is quite well over 3 minutes from people who come through search, right? So we're really building a very solid foundation here, and it's going very well. And now, as we're slowly moving into this outreach phase, getting more analysts on board, also building the Forge, I think this is just it's gonna grow very fast. And I mean, I'm just this is obviously speculation, but I do believe that we're going to start being at the top of all these search results for all these different projects.
The Coin Criticos, I'm going to sign up and follow. You guys are doing good, relevant work. Tokenomics may be down forever. Hive and DTube went through down forever because everyone just sells no buyers. You want to talk about that? Because I'm not seeing with the Cure token and the utility it has with this specific platform. If the platform raises an engagement and viewership and community, then that should actually make the Cure tokens more demand, right?
It's a utility token, actually. It's different. What most people think about all these crypto prices are, for the most part, comparing them to meme tokens, and even Bitcoin, the meme token. So if you're going to talk about a utility token price, they're actually more reflecting upon the value add and what they actually do and give you. So it's not at the same market, although there is a speculation element and all of that. With this inbuilt, you essentially have an inbuilt demand because of the need for the tokens across the platform. So maybe the value rises or falls with the amount of attention this brings, to amount of analysts that are involved and all that type of stuff.
I want to maybe ask Dan here, because one very important thing that we're adding with the Forge is that investors have to lock up the tokens to get allocations. And the way we structure this, that it's a leaderboard, and the highest wallets will get the best allocations. I know from Dan that Launchpads are some of the most oversubscribed services in crypto, and that it's very hard often to get tokens of successful Launchpads. Do you want to elaborate on that, Dan?
Yeah, I can. I wanted to go back to, I was waiting to get the break in there. I forget who brought it up, but if you come across a project, and I look at a lot of projects, obviously, but you come across a project that's over a year old, that's this developed, this well thought out, that only has 500 people on their Twitter and 500 people on their Telegram, it's not, oh shit, this is bullshit, there's only 500 people. It's like, oh my God, I'm early. So
Opportunity.
That absolutely well put. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, I heard something maybe 6 or 8 months ago, and I'd never heard this term before. I think it came up at ETH Denver or something, but it's called dog fooding. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's when the owners of the company actually work on the platform every day. So if you work for Microsoft, you would use Word and Excel and realize, holy shit, I hate the way this cut and pastes, or this does this. We are dog fooding all day long. And I don't know how much exposure this group's had to Mark's partner and co-founder, AJ, but this guy's brilliant CTO, developer. He takes Mark's visions, puts it down under the platform. So
extremely efficient, very quick.
Yeah, we've been dog fooding this damn thing for over a year. So we're not just building it and then hoping it works right. We're out there actually using it like the power users of the platform, which is really essential to make a good product. So just make sure that was clear. And to talk to Mark's thing, it's, some are easier to get than others. I think what the real challenge for us with the Launchpad and the tiers is, we want to make sure there's a tremendous value between what you need to pay to get a certain allocation. Like, you don't want to pay $5,000 to win $300 or $200 in a project, right? Maybe that's more, I'll spend $500 or $1,000 to get that. So that's where we want to create a lot of value and try to get as much exposure. And I think that's what our tier system will eventually, maybe another couple iterations, right? We're still working. We got it framed up, but it's more or less that's the way it's designed. So
yeah, and he comes back and kind of answers his own question a little bit. Maybe need to pivot to get projects to buy tokens to get reviewed. Also could offer subscription to get curated report for companies. Subscriptions could go right to liquidity pool.
Yeah, let's sign this guy up, Mark. Who is the Coin Credit?
Yeah. We do actually, maybe we can talk about this another time, but because there's this duality going on between the Forge and Curator. And with Curator, we actually do have the next iteration of our review process, which will be quite a massive upgrade. And that's where we actually do have the subscription service planned for people to get reviews much quicker than others. And we're actually going to expand it for not just reviews, but also general crypto news and stuff like that. So yeah, there's some very good ideas. And, Would love to get on a call with you sometime, Crypto Critic, because you're bringing up a lot of good stuff, you know.
Coin critic.
Critic, sorry.
Yeah, reach out to them in their Telegram. What's the Telegram?
It's t.me/curator.com.
CYRATORCON.
Yes. So yeah, please. I mean, if we're always up for. You can message me directly or also Dan, and happy to get on a call and answer your guys' question. Nice. You're on mute.
So I was going to say, I think we did a really good job going into. Yeah, that's the right one right there. Coin Critic.
Exactly. Yes.
Just going deeper into some of this stuff, like I said, we covered kind of the idea of the Forge and the idea of Curator in the first two streams, and now we're able to get into some of the nuts and bolts and mechanics and tokenomics and the game theory of the community, not just of the tokens. So that's really awesome.
It's a really big project, and there's so much to discuss. There's so much steps to get into.
Right. Well, let's go around real quick. Let you guys tell people where they can find out more about this project or about yourselves, or if they want to reach out and talk to you about getting you on their stream or working as part of the council. How would they get a hold of you, Mark?
Yeah, please just come to the Telegram and then message me directly. Direct message is great. I would love to come on any stream if anyone wants to talk about it. We are looking for more people to join our council. As I said, some NFTs will be for sale, but we also want to give some of NFTs to people that we trust and can kind of build this early council. So let us know if you're interested. You don't have to be a streamer. We have lots of just dedicated community members who help out sharing the infos and representing us. So we have different, if you want to contribute, come and we have some tokens and NFTs that we can give out. Am I missing something else? Where to get the information is just the website. Go to curator.com. There's basically two white papers. There's one for Curator itself, which is much more the general reviews. And then you can click there. You'll see at the very top the NFT sale banner. You can click on there and then you get to the Forge page where you get all the information how to buy the NFTs and what kind of tokens you get with that and stuff like that. And then there's the Forge specific white paper there, which is a little bit different from the Curator one because it's much more about how do we review projects that want to raise funds and around the Launchpad.
Awesome. And proof of no work, how do people find out more about you, your NFTs, and your tokens?
t.me/proof of no work. I'm also on Twitter with my NFT projects. They're what is the Your Keys, Your NFT? At awesome. Your Keys, Your NFT.
At Your Keys, Your NFT. Awesome. And Agent J, how can people find out what the DGen Roundtable's up to or follow what you've got going on?
Hey guys, thanks again for both having me and Apex Hex here on the stream. You can find us on our YouTube channel, just DGen Roundtable, and within the YouTube channel, you're going to be able to find all of our links to our Telegrams and our individual socials. We certainly look forward to exploring this project a little bit more because I think I can speak for the rest of the team. I think we see a lot of value in what you guys are trying to do here. So, thank you for giving us the opportunity to be involved.
Appreciate all you guys, man.
You bet. Thanks for bringing the questions and the information. Appreciate that. And then also, is there anything that Dan wants to shill or last say if they want to follow anything he's doing?
No, just come on the Curator. We don't. Maybe some of you guys will be analysts. Appreciate the community. You guys are great. So it's very exciting times. It's been around here for a while, and this is the most excitement we've seen in a long time with the community and all this effort. We really appreciate it, guys.
Shout out to Paul Shane.
Yeah, and then CoinCritic says, do analysts have CVs listed?
It's not a requirement. There is a profile section that people can write. We do have some very experienced analysts. I mean, Dan, for example, who has invested in over 300 projects and run a little investment group, right? We also have Patrick, who's one of the top tokenomics writers on Medium and has also run an investment firm. We have some anonymous people that I know are actually quite high up in some of the very big protocols. So yeah, it's a mix of people who are very public about what they do and some people who are anonymous.
Awesome. And the guy that has a name that we have not figured out yet says, I can't wait to see good projects line up and donate 50% of tokens to the community. And then, of course, Adam's in here saying, hey. So, yeah, you can follow me on Pulse Ray Vision and Hex Ray Vision on almost all media. I'm going to be at the Pulse Chain Conference in Vegas, March 6th through the 9th. If you guys want to come hang out and with that crew there'll be quite a few hexagons and degens in Vegas. So that's March 6th through the 9th coming up just in a couple weeks. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. And thanks again for all of my guests for being here and bringing their alpha and their questions. I appreciate it so much. You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll be clipping these in the next few days and putting them out there in bite-sized forms for people.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, everyone.
All right. See you guys.